County, we spent a lot of time in New Smyrna Beach recently, mostly because of this guy next to me. When I think construction guys, I don't think svelte, handsome guys like you, by the way. You are not the construction guy that I have vision in my head. Chad Newberry's here. How are you?
I'm great.
Handsome, svelte, everything, right? You were what we don't think of when it comes to construction guys.
I appreciate that.
So anyway, we've talked about Japandi. We've been to Japandi. Give me an update on Japandi.
Yeah, we entered it into the Parade of Homes, which was great. We won actually 2 awards. So it took home the best prize in its category, which was $2 to $2.3 million. But then we also won the best single family home prize for the whole Parade of Homes. So it was a great night. Actually, I was kind of surprised. We actually took home 399 points out of 400, which was the highest score that the Volusia County Parade of Homes ever had. So great.
This is an all-star type moment.
Yeah,
right?
It was very, we were tickled pink.
So you were there from when it was just dirt until now seeing the big wins. How does that make you feel as the guy who really came up with this concept and saw it all the way through?
Yeah, I think like being a part of that process was amazing, but I really do have to give a lot of credit to our designer, Bob. He is just such a creative genius. And when he met with the client, he just had a vision right out of the gate that just, I think, blew everyone out of the water, including the client.
Kind of has Frank Lloyd Wright vibes a little bit.
Yeah. So in the Parade of Homes, it was kind of interesting. We'd get people coming in and say like, this house feels a little Asian. And then to some other people would be like, it has Frank Lloyd Wright vibes to it. And so, and I didn't really understand why we were getting such different feedback from it, if you will. And so I talked to Bob, our designer, and, you know, the clients wanted to marry Scandinavian design because they like the clean lines. And then they loved, you know, and the wife is from Japan, she's Japanese. And so she wanted to incorporate a lot of Japanese architecture. And when Bob listened to them and what they were trying to do, he was like prairie architecture. And I was like, so what the house ended up being was prairie architecture, and Frank Lloyd Wright was a founder of prairie architecture.
Oh.
But what's fascinating is that Frank Lloyd Wright spent a lot of time in Japan during the first part of his career. So he was fascinated with Japanese art and Japanese architecture. So when he started his school of prairie architecture here in the United States, he carried over a lot of those Japanese influences and incorporated into his architecture, which is why I think the house has like Japanese vibes and Frank Lloyd Wright vibes.
A lot of people at home maybe be thinking about, you know, I do want to build a house from the ground up. I want to design something and build it, but they've just never pulled the trigger on it. It becomes a little bit of a marriage between contractor, designer, and homeowner. How is that relationship, and how have you guys made so many people so happy?
Yeah, I think it really requires a lot of trust. So I always tell people when they're looking at picking a builder, you know, definitely interview a few builders and make sure that you trust them, because you're in a pretty long-term relationship for the next year and a half, 2 years. So I think that's it. And then also I think the reason why a lot of our clients go with us is because they genuinely want that design build experience combined together. And we provide that, which is not very common, particularly in Volusia County. So I think we kind of get seeked out if someone's looking for that design build experience. And then usually they kind of meet with us a couple of times and they're like, okay, I trust these guys.
Let's talk about that design process, because that can be a challenge at the beginning for sure. Because I don't know exactly what I want. I know, like Michaela's over there, I know that she wants something open and airy and sort of white. And I don't necessarily know what I want. How does that design process really go from the beginning?
Yeah. So usually our clients will bring in like a floor plan concept that they kind of like, but they want to tweak it. And then they bring in a lot of inspirational images on the interior and the exterior. And then what we do is we bring our designer in right at that stage and kind of let him take the lead in digesting all of that information. But what our designer, Bob, does is, I mean, he just takes it to another level that I can't even think of. And I think that's why the projects we do are so interesting.
Amazing.
They're awesome, I think.
So, and you have a lot of other projects going on right now as well. Tell me about some of them.
Yeah, so the Dome Home is still moving forward. We're engineering for that. Actually, the same client purchased a house on the river. I would call it a really big house, an estate house, and they asked us to help them remodel it. So we're actually working on 2 projects with one client. And I think the newest project that's coming in our doorway is we actually have a client that bought 15 acres of land out in Pearson, and they want to build a custom home, but they want to build it mostly because they have a family member that's handicapped, and so they want to design the house so that it's handicap friendly or wheelchair friendly. So that's like their real motivator for building a custom home. And I think that just kind of signals to people like it doesn't have to be a big, luxurious, fancy home to do a custom home. It can be for various reasons. And I think that client is a particular reason.
There are a lot of fly-by-night construction companies that pop up all the time. They're like, oh, I've been doing this 100 years, whatever. And they underbid. That's what they do. And they're not transparent from the beginning. How important do you think it is when you first talk to a family who wants to build a house from the ground up? How important is that transparency from the very beginning?
Yeah, I think us being genuine about what the actual cost of building a home is very important on the forefront. We would actually we prefer to come in a little higher than what they anticipate so that they're properly prepared for it, as opposed to coming in under and then, change ordering them to death. We just don't think that that's a good practice.
I think your transparency is what has kept you successful and kept you in the business and keeping all of your clients happy, because it is a marriage. I mean, when you're talking about 6, 9, 12, 18 months together with a family going through what is a challenging time building a house, because there's so many decisions to make, and they're still happy with you at the end, and hiring you again for other projects, that means you're doing something very good. Dad, good to see you. Tell Dad I said hello.
All right.
I'm not going to tell you what he's doing today. Just fly today. Quick break. You Have Real Estate continues.